Arbeit der Konrad-Adenauer-Stiftung in den letzten 50 Jahren im Bereich der europäischen und internationalen Zusammenarbeit ist eine gute Voraussetzung, dass wir auch erfolgreich sein können in der Gegenwart und in der Zukunft, dass wir den Dialog der Kulturen führen, insbesondere auch mit der arabischen und muslimischen Welt, dass wir unseren Beitrag leisten für eine Friedensordnung im Nahen Osten, Israel in sicheren Grenzen, Palästina in sicheren Grenzen und dass wir einen Weg nehmen im 21. Jahrhundert, der gestaltet wird von Frieden, von Freiheit, von Demokratie und von einer starken und stabilen Rechtsordnung und auch begleitet wird von der sozialen Marktwirtschaft. Und wenn wir diesen Weg im 21. Jahrhundert gehen, dann wird die Konrad-Adenauer-Stiftung...
Welcome back to Global Village. I'm your host, Buddy Cunanan. Tonight's topic is CAS and the Philippines. And joining us still are the country representative of the Konrad-Adenauer Stiftung, Mr. Benedict Zeman, and his colleague and partner in governance, executive director and founder of the Institute for Autonomy and Governance, Attorney Benny Bacani. So Benedict, Benny, welcome back to our third and last segment. Now, interesting what Benedict said before we paused for a break in the second segment. He said that there's a lot of enthusiasm with people, in the youth especially, and you can see it in social media. A lot of them are involved. They make themselves heard on social media. But when asked, do you want to join politics? A lot of times the answer is no. That's not for me. I don't want to get involved in that. Now, why do you think that's the case, Benny?
Because I think the impression is that politics is dirty in the Philippines, and you need money, actually, well, the goons, guns, and gold, to be elected. So you see that, good men and women who have all the good intentions, but you see that the political environment, the policy environment, okay, does not actually, promote, this the development, of ideas and the policies, for the common good. So it's always about personal and partisan interest. So I think that's sad, but that is really the state of politics in the Philippines.
And the structurally, I think it's flawed. It seems like the structure of our entire electoral system is geared against, let's say, someone who's up and coming, or who's a nobody, who has no money, cannot play a role in governance.
Yes, because ideology doesn't matter, right? So that's why I think one of the political reforms is really political party development and electoral system. So you need to be able to elect parties, and with the ideas, the good ideas for us moving forward. But you know that it's very personalistic now. It's the patron. So we know that we had political parties that started really with good, very noble ideas, and all of a sudden it gets hijacked during elections. Okay?
Yes.
Because political parties in the Philippines are only for elections.
Yes.
A real political party exists even in between elections. So that's what you mean. But we don't have that here. So
do you think we'll ever have that here? That's
hopefully.
dream.
So that's why we are advocating for federalism. But we know very well that there has to be some reforms that have to happen before you even shift to federalism, and that is reforms in our electoral system and reforms in our political parties. So otherwise, you might end up with political dynasties, small political dynasties, even in the regions. So,
yes, I mean we already see that happening now.
Yes,
it is a reality.
Correct.
And
yes.
some of these dynasties are entrenched so much that I think it's almost impossible under the present setup to get them out, or to have new players come in. Right. Almost impossible. Benedict.
As Benny said, the problem is the system. As a political scientist, I mean, I don't only look at politics and say, all hope is lost. Yeah, it's about engineering. It's about designing a system that is good or bad or somewhere in between. The Philippines has a political system that is very prone to elite capture. That I think is something nobody would argue with. But then again, in 30 years, we haven't seen any change to that system. The current administration actually knows that a shift away from the presidential system will bring about a positive change. And one component of that shift, as Benny said, is the electoral system. For every country in the world, no matter where that country is, no matter whether it's rich or poor, the electoral system is the one element which defines whether participative democracy is possible or not. So that is something that decision makers and experts are looking into very, very intensively in the Philippines right now. That is also parts of our expertise, and we're looking for designs that actually help the Philippines improve, because improved Philippines and an improved political system will actually lead to a betterment of many situations.
Definitely,
in terms
definitely.
of fighting poverty, creating jobs is very important, and so
You know,
you
I
have
think
to touch the system for that.
in my humble opinion, this is actually looking at from the outside, looking at Cass and your partners and your work, the work you're doing. I think this is the most important project that you guys can do, reforming the political party system and also the electoral system, because everything else follows from there, right? The good or the bad that happens in the country follows from there.
Yes.
That's why we are focusing on Muslim Mindanao body, because there is prospect, there is a big opportunity to do political reforms there.
Why is
Okay?
that? Tell me.
Yeah. Maybe you look at ARM, for instance, and you say, "Oh, that's so corrupt." And
Yes,
all
yes,
that,
I was going to
and-
say very
and this is
feudal,
useless
very
and feudal and all
yes,
that.
yeah. How do you do it there?
But you have this implementation of peace agreements that require political reforms to take place, right? And that's why even the president now talks about federalism as a solution to the Mindanao conflict. And so we say that, what is good for the Bangsamoro is good for all the other Bangsas, in the region. That's one of the mantras. So, you don't look at ARM as a template that you follow, Precisely, that's where you draw the lessons from, So the problems with decentralization, the problems of lack of democracy, problems of electoral systems, you focus on that, no? And you see that even these revolutionary groups, MNLF, MILF, see political reforms. That's why electoral systems, so they go for a parliamentary system of government. You look at political parties that will have to be subsidized by government, and by the state, So it becomes now part of the governmental system. That is something really very progressive, And that's why we're very excited about raising capacities for governance and running political parties in this area.
Interesting that it should happen first there.
Yes.
Then you would think that it would be the last place that it could possibly happen.
Last place. Yeah.
Right.
But you see that you have to start small anyway, right? Because it's so hard to do this, on a on a national scale.
Okay,
So-
let me ask you a question. Let's say it is successful there in the places that you mentioned. Do you see this spreading to other parts of the country? Well, how will the entrenched interests react to something that will empower the people and at the same time potentially weaken their hold on the power structure?
It's like
How do you
chicken
do
and
it?
egg, So it's really a problem of, we cannot do that because the economic, political interests are so entrenched, right? And so you cannot actually, how can you expect Congress, to do political party reform when that might go against their own interests? So that's why advocacy, empowerment of the people, demanding for change, has to be developed. And I believe that when you change political structures, when you reconfigure, as Benedict said, designs on a regional level, they are politicians, they do. I've seen that in Muslim Mindanao. You see all these warlords, they feel insecure. And they're willing to, to
adapt,
adjust,
to
willing
evolve.
to adapt. And you see also the next generation, they're more, oriented towards better governance. So it's a matter of really moving forward and do really change, drastic. Well, not drastic, but
No,
at
drastic,
least,
yeah, absolutely drastic, yeah,
but
absolutely.
sustainable change as well, right?
I like your optimism. I feel so much better already just talking to him. Benedict, you want to chime in? What he said about...
I don't have to repeat everything that Benny said because I fully agree anyways. Anyways, what I want to say is that I'm a person in general who is very optimistic as well. And I believe that it would be a shame to waste the momentum here in the Philippines, in a country that is so vibrant, so active and so alive. So it's never too late to change the world and the system and the country for the better. But it requires people to get involved and to be committed to it. So change is not something that comes just with making a choice on election day. Change is something that comes with getting yourself involved constantly. And that is something that I believe that more than 100 million Filipinos will be willing and able to do in the future for the betterment of the country.
That's it. Involvement, really. We all have to get involved, do our share, because as Benedict said, if we just complain, and nothing's ever going to happen, right? Someone has to start it, and we have to start it.
Yeah, and I think we have to focus on systems as well. No? The reason why I am for charter change, changing the constitution, is also to change mindsets. So it's not just changing the structure. So the mindsets of our bureaucrats are so unitary, centralized. I give you one example, very. We now have the Bangsamoro Transition Commission that has been trying to, they draft the BBL, and they have no money, no budget. They had this big launch, and it's been months,
yes.
And government cannot even, release that money. It has been requested. So you see that if you just, rely on business as usual for government,
nothing will happen.
Especially with this very special case.
Okay.
So.
Guys, we have about 30 seconds to close. I want to give you guys a chance to say something to the audience. Let's start with Benedict Zeman.
The only thing I can say in 20 seconds is get involved, be optimistic, work hard for the country, and be fair, and be democratic.
Very good. Benny?
Yeah, if you want peace in the Philippines, peace with the communists, peace with the Bangsamoro, the key is political reforms. Okay, there's no other way.
That's
okay, but reform our institutions to make it just, make it more equitable, and make it inclusive. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It's such a pleasure to have the two Benedicts here on the show. And I would congratulate you on your success and your partnership, and wish you the best of luck in all your projects moving forward. Very inspiring work you guys are doing. Bravo.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay,
Great.
so guys, I hope you enjoyed our show tonight on CAS, the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung and the Philippines. Join us again next week here on Global Village, and let us take you around the world. Till then, you all have a good evening.